kind of me. I'm a variety kind of girl, and I have a variety kind of things. Hi guys, it's Misty, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Misty, and I'm a full-time reseller on eBay. I also own a brick-and-mortar antique store called Wildflower Antiques, and I also have weekly sales here on my YouTube channel. This video is my weekly what sold on eBay for the week of May 4th through 10th. And let me tell you, it was another rough one. It's a whole week of me not listing anything. And it shows. When you don't list, you don't sell. And that's just kind of how eBay works. You need to have an active store. I gave everybody a challenge to list at least 3 things. And I did. I listed 6 things, which is really sad. That's really sad, Misty. That's very, very sad. I'm under 400 listings, active listings on eBay, and I need to get in gear, as they say. My sales were kind of a little bit of mixture of things that I just listed, like that sold within a day, and things that I've kind of had for a while. I did run a 15% off sale, as I do from time to time, just to kind of move things. And it seems like there's no really rhyme or reason for me when I run a sale. Sometimes I do great on weeks that I have a sale, and sometimes I don't sell a whole lot, and this was one of those weeks. So I'm going to try next week not running a sale, and we'll just see. And so let's go ahead and I will show you the 20 things that sold for me last week. Boy, but let's go ahead and see those things. Week May 4th through May 10th, and my sales were $483.25, 72 cents, and my sales were down 25.8%. Okay, I didn't, like I said, I have not listed anything, and if you don't list, you're not going to sell a whole lot. I'm very lucky that I sold anything with me not being very active in my store. I honestly didn't really even go in and do a lot of updates like I normally do, so I'm very, very, very blessed that I did sell what I've sold. You can see here each day, I think on Saturday I had $12 in sales, but at least I sold something every day. I did have, you know what? I did have a 0 sales day. I had a 0 sales day, which doesn't happen for me very often anymore. I want you to see that this number here is my gross sales. So this doesn't count for my taxes, my cost of goods, and my fees. So this number is gross sales. Now let's go ahead and get to what has sold. And the first thing is this 1987 Club Alf Alien Production Vintage Large Pen. This was a 6-inch pen. It was a big pen. It had this back to it, so you could almost put it like a picture frame, and it's got Alf on it. I mean, do y'all remember Alf? I loved Alf from Melmac. Anyway, it sold for I had a 15% off sale. It sold for $8.49, and the buyer paid shipping. This was something that we found, I believe we found in a dresser that we had bought. It was in the drawer of the dresser that we bought, and I think it had a date on the back. Yeah, 1987. Next we have a vintage Circus advertisement hotel keychain. I got a bunch of these keychains in a big box of things that I got from an estate sale. This person they apparently loved going to Vegas because they had all kinds of vintage Vegas keychains and memorabilia from Circus. And this sold for $7.84, and the buyer paid shipping. It did have this little bitty key on it. I don't know, maybe it was a locker key or a diary key. This was plastic. It was just something that I thought, I'm going to try it. I had it for quite a long time, and I do have a couple more listed because I had a lot of them, and I just kind of want to see how they would do individually, and they didn't do too great. But it did sell for $7.84, and the buyer paid shipping. The next item is this antique white Thomas Insulator. Thomas was the brand. It was a ceramic vintage insulator, and these would go on top of the telephone poles or railroad crossing poles. It was 3.5 inches. I put farmhouse decor because people like to put these on a shelf in their farmhouse decor. It was white, so it was not your everyday typical glass insulator. This one sold on a 15% off sale for $14.44, and the buyer paid shipping. Again, one thing that's good to do in your listings is to have some sort of a size reference. I like to use a ruler. It's just easy to just snap a picture, and so people can get a size reference, because I did say it's 3.5 inches tall, but just getting that look, it gives people a better idea of how big it actually is. Next, now this is a little bit of a different sale. I had a customer email me. They just wanted to buy this deck of cards right here, just the Jackalope cards. And they sent me an offer, and in that offer it stated that they just wanted the Jackalope cards. They would pay, I think it was $5 plus shipping. And I ended up accepting that offer, and I still have it. It's in my pile over there of things I need to take pictures of. I will just go ahead and list these 3 as a lot themselves and get them listed. But this deck right here sold for $18.50, and the cost is reflected in my sales. I just wanted to point that out, that this is not the correct number, because I did take a best offer. Next, I have this little Astro Smurf. This is a good Smurf. Some of the Smurfs are just your everyday Smurf, and maybe there was an everyday Smurf, I don't know, but this one was one that was in limited quantity. It was to commemorate the 1965 moon landing. But this was just a commemorative 1965 commemorative. It was made in the 80s, but it was to commemorate. It's actually made. It's actually dated 1965. It was not made in 1965. The Smurfs were not around in 1965. This was just purely a commemorative piece, and this one sold for $22.50, and apparently 85-cent shipping. I'm not quite sure what that was all about, but 85-cent shipping. Okay, well, it did not cost very much to ship. They're itty bitty. It was first class. It probably cost me $3.50 to ship it. Next, I have a vintage 90s men's Tommy Hilfiger red checked flag button up shirt. I'm not buying clothing anymore, so I would not be buying this again. It sold for $15.72 on a 15% off sale, and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have this 1901 antique Happy Playtime storybook. This was made by the McLaughlin brothers, and they were a pretty prominent children's bookmaker back at the turn of the century. And this was the Little Chatterwell series. Books of this nature, if you see these, the graphics on them are everything. And typically on the inside, sometimes the first page might be an illustrated in color page, but the majority of the illustrations on the inside of the book are going to be black and white. This one in the cover here, you can see it did have a little bit of wear and yellowing and some water damage. This one sold for $20.82 on a 15% off sale. I did do free shipping, as I typically do with books, because they do ship media mail, and media mail shipping is really pretty cheap. And if you're going to ship something media mail, make sure that it is noted, because media mail does take a little bit longer to arrive to your customer. So that's something that you need to make sure that you have it, that you're going to ship it media mail, and not just that you're going to ship it first class, because then they're not going to get it as soon. This is with books too, a lot of times there might be some inscription or some handwriting, and you need to mark that. The cover and binding was intact. Cover and pages are yellow due to age. Has handwritten name on the first page. The pages are brittle, and the first few pages are loose. Minor corner wear and staining. So you need to make sure that you do list any and all of the flaws with it, because book collectors are a little finicky. And just make sure that you are very honest in the books that you do list. Books can be a very time-consuming thing to research, but there can be pretty good money in books themselves, and especially these antique children's books with these illustrations on the front. Next, I have a coffee mug. This coffee mug I've had for quite a while, and it sold for $8.08 on a 15% off sale. It is the most valued person, the MVP. Just kind of a funny work mug to give to a coworker. Mugs like this are great because people do use them, but they also, you can put a plant in them or a succulent and give them as a gift, maybe on Boss's Day or Secretary's Day. So these little fun and funny mugs, you know, can be pretty marketable. And that picture's upside down. Well, let's move on. Next, I have a magnetic poetry PMS Poet novelty game. I think I picked this up a while back at Goodwill for 99 cents. It was brand new. The box itself had been opened, but this part right here was sealed. It just had these little magnetic words. I guess you can make angry phrases if you're the PMS poet that month. But it sold for $15.75 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have a vintage Otagiri mug. This one's a pig farm. Pigs do well. Pigs, to me, when I sell things that have pigs on them, they do better than things that have cows on them. People like pigs. They like to collect pigs. They have whole decor made from pigs, and it's just fun and quirky. This was just a little cute little speckled mug. It wasn't marked Otagiri, but it is an Otagiri mug. I can tell just by the way it's made and by the look of it. And it sold for $9.69 on a 15% off sale, and the buyer paid shipping. Next, I have an antique Victorian chalkware pincushion lady. She's holding a bouquet of flowers. She's 5 inches tall, and she's got this old lace around the trim. Now, she was in a little rough condition. Her clothes were a little musty and little stained and needed a little bit of fluffing. She had this cute little doily hat, and the chalkware on her body itself did have a little bit of wear, but really for chalkware, it was in really good condition. And there are collector's market out there for these, and a lot of times even people will buy the bodies, and because sometimes the lace and all the stuffing and stuff can be missing just because it just gets so ratted and tatted. And you put the little pins, let me enlarge this a little bit. You put the little pins around here in her waistband, but sometimes just because this is all just cloth, sometimes this is just rotted away and missing, and you might just find an upper torso of a woman. Well, it's a pincushion top. They are collectible. This one sold for $22 and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have this Cotton Colors Happy Everything mini small attachment with the champagne bottle. These are kind of a similar idea to the Nora Fleming pieces. This has a little Velcro strip that they have these different plates that you can change out these little pieces for. And so it's very similar to the idea of the Nora Fleming charms that you can intermingle with different place settings and dishes. I picked this up at Goodwill a while back for 99 cents, and it sold for $27.99 and the buyer paid shipping. Next is this vintage Kaki mug. This is a #1 Tiki Mug made in Columbus, Ohio. Just a fun Hawaii hut drink mug. I got this, and it always makes me think of George whenever I see George the Antique Nomad. Loves this tiki stuff, and this one was great. It had the great marking on the bottom, and it had the original sticker on the bottom. It was in excellent condition, and picked this up. I think Dad picked it up for 99 cents, and we sold it for $22.50 and the buyer paid shipping. Next is a vintage Cedros hinged wooden cigar box. This is something that we've had in the shop for quite a while, and I want to say that we had like $12 on it, but they're a vintage, probably from the 50s, maybe 60s, of these cigars, and I did have to empty them out. Inside these tubes were the actual Havana cigars, but you cannot sell those on eBay. You cannot sell cigars, especially Cuban cigars, on eBay. So I did empty out the cigars in them and just sold the empty tubes. Cigar boxes, there is a collector's market for these. It does make a good little display. It was a small little thin little cigar box here. It still had the tax stamp on it and the wax mark on it. And this sold for $24.22 on a 15% off sale, and the buyer paid shipping. Next, I have Jim Shore, a Jim Shore Santa. I'm telling you what, I love finding Jim Shore pieces because Jim Shore is a highly collectible item. And you can find Disney things that were made by Jim Shore. The Santas, these were the Chimney Santas. There was a whole series that Jim Shore did with these Chimney Santas. This Santa looks like he's, well, like he's had a little too much milk and cookies, let's just say. He is sitting by this very odd-shaped chimney, and he's tired. He's just worn out. This was dated 1992. It's just one of these Chimney Santas. It was marked 342 out of 7,000. So they did run a limited amount on these guys. 7,000 is how many they made, and this was number 332. Made in the USA. This sold for $24.22, and the buyer paid shipping. Now, if this was close to Christmas, I would have been able to sell it for more money, but I paid 99 cents for this guy at Goodwill a while ago, and so I'm happy with what I can get for him now. I still list holiday things year round. I don't not list something just because it's past that holiday, because there are people who shop for holiday items now. People may be shopping for Christmas items right now because they can get them for a little bit cheaper. So don't, pigeonhole yourself to not list a holiday item just because that holiday has passed. Next, we have an antique Dr. Cummings Vegetine, and I always think of Vita Vita Vegemin every time I see that word. This was a really beautiful light aqua blob top bottle, and it had remnants of the cork in it, as you can see maybe right there. Beautiful blob top bottle. It was a beautiful bottle. It just this pretty aquamarine color, and this sold for $20.82 on a 15% off sale, and the buyer paid shipping. Next, we have a vintage Mexican Feathercraft bird carved wood frame feather 17-inch full cart. These people do like these, very kitschy, very mid-century. These were on velvet. This feather work, and the black part right here was a piece of velvet that it was a painted, and with the feathers added on it on the bird, and on the back it had a little bit of the history of the Mexican feather craft. These are collectible. People do like these, and really kind of the breed of the bird, or the more colorful the bird, the better. They're really worth about $25, honestly. So I did take a best offer, and this one sold for $22.50, and the buyer paid shipping. Next, I got this angry little duck. Now, originally I thought that this was a planter, and I did put planter in the description because it can be used as a planter. It's actually an ashtray, and this is a M.A. Hadley, and I didn't know who the signature was on this, so thanks to some of my subscribers, they had sent me a message and said, I think that's an M.A. Hadley duck, and they can do pretty well. And this was something that I think that Dad had picked up at a flea market. Now, originally they would have came with a mama duck. This one was the smaller of the two ducks, and I think that the mama duck was actually a planter, and then her little baby was an ashtray. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that was the case. And he's an angry little duck. I love his face. He wasn't very big. He's only 3.5 inches tall. He is marked with the artist signature on the bottom. And sometimes when you're looking at these things, it's hard to read the signature, and so you just kind of have to do your research. And it ended up paying off, because Dad got this for, I think, $1. We ended up selling it for $22.50, and the buyer paid shipping. Next, I have a vintage RCA flipped clock radio. I honestly have had this for a very long time and never listed it, and never put it for sale in the shop, and which was crazy because it sold within the day of me listing it for $32.50, and the buyer paid shipping. It had this faux wood grain on it. It worked. I did test it. I let it run for 24 hours to make sure it kept time. The light worked. There was really cool gold, harvest gold front on it. These are collectible, these flip clocks. So if you see these out and about, and they kind of have this really kind of funky 70s vibe, they're marketable. So if you can get it cheap enough, I would pick it up if I were you. And the last thing is the best thing, because I myself adore Ella Fitzgerald, and it is an Ella Fitzgerald Sings Cole Porter. Ah, awesome. It's a songbook. It's basically a record collection from 1956. They were in near mint condition. I don't know that they really have ever been played. It had all of the original dust jackets on the inside, little bit of condition there on the corners itself. Really good condition. It has all these songs that she has sung that were old Cole old Cole Porter songs. It was the Verve label, which is a good label to look out for. And this, I originally had it at $45.50, which is really the fair market value of these. I did run a 15% off sale, and Ella sold for $38.68, and the buyer paid shipping.
You know, I mean, it was a combination of Smurfs and antiques and clothing and that sorts of things. So it was a variety of things, but that's kind of me. I'm a variety kind of girl, and I have a variety kind of things in my store. I'm a sucker for things that are new with tags. Like, I don't know. There's really no rhyme or reason. Like, for example, I bought the Pampered Chef cheese grater because it was brand new in the tags. It was $1. Am I going to make millions of dollars on it? No, but I'll make some money off of it, and that's kind of where my mind goes. But we really don't want to know what's the inner workings of my mind, because I don't really know a lot of the times. I just kind of go with my gut. I go with my gut. If I'm at Goodwill, or if I'm thrifting somewhere, if I'm at an antique mall, I just kind of go with my gut feeling. Now, having said that, I do know things that have sold for me in the past, and I know what I can get out of them. But things like that, I've never sold one of those before, but I know somebody will probably want it because it's brand new. And maybe they don't make this style anymore. I don't know. I'm not a Pampered Chef aficionado, but I do like the Pampered Chef things. And this is kind of one of those things, though, too. If it doesn't sell, I'll just keep it, you know, because I like Parmesan cheese. I can pretend like I'm at the Olive Garden when I serve my family spaghetti. Anyway, that was kind of not even has anything to do with what I'm talking about, other than just going with your gut. And, you know, sometimes when I can't sleep at night, and I will just decide I'm going to look at vintage salt and pepper shakers. Let's just use that as an example. And I will go through eBay on my phone as I'm laying in bed and research the sold comps. And it gives me an idea of what kinds of things to maybe look out for that are selling for a higher profit. You can do that with any number of things. You could do that with Pampered Chef. You could type in Pampered Chef, and maybe you'll find something when you're out and about that is a real rare Pampered Chef thing. You never know. That's how you learn. You just take any kind of free time you have, look up those sold comps, just pick something. So I guess that would be my challenge for you this week, would be just pull something up. I'm going to look up Pampered Chef. So you can't have that, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to see, because, you know, when you're out and about, you know, if you're able to get out and about, and if you're safe about going out and about, make sure that you're safe, you wear a mask. That's all I'm saying. But you never know when you're going to find some things that are kind of outside your wheelhouse, and you're not going to know about it if you don't at least just try to research it a little bit. So pick something that you don't really know a lot about and look at the sold comps, and maybe you'll learn something, and you'll see what things hold some sort of resale value that you can buy, and then you can flip. So let's just say that's my challenge this week. I never know what my challenge is going to be. I never really know what I'm going to say. It just kind of, whatever I say is what I say. I don't know what I'm going to say a lot of times, which is why I sometimes ramble. So I will stop rambling now, and I will end this video. I hope that you at least learned something from this. If anything, you've learned that if you don't list things, you probably aren't going to sell a whole lot. So make sure that you keep listing. And if you're able to go out and source, you know, be safe about it, protect yourself, protect your community, and I will see you. Well, before I go, make sure that you do give this video a thumbs up, leave me a random comment, leave me a hi, leave me a comment of something. Maybe tell me, what is the thing that you're going to research? Choose the thing that you're going to just do a little bit of research on, see what the comps are, and just let me know. You just have to type the one word of the thing in the what are those called? In the comments? That's what they're called. Like Misty, I'll tell you what. So anyway, I will go ahead and say goodbye for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.